welcome to this week's film show. Awards season has kicked into high gear with the announcement of this year's Oscar nominations. Also this week, France's Académie des Lumière honored the best of French cinema. Our film critic, Lisa Nesselson, happens to be the president of that group, while Arts24's Yves Jackson co-presented the ceremony here in Paris. Now, the Académie des Lumière is made up of foreign journalists. They named Anatomy of a Fall best film. Less than 24 hours later, it was also nominated in 5 major Oscar categories. Lisa, the success of this film from French director Justine Triet, very big source of pride here in France.
Pride and probably astonishment. Anatomy of a Fall is up for Best Picture, Director, Actress, Original Screenplay, and Editing Oscars. There are 10 films in all competing for the Best Picture Oscar. 3 of them, for me, are equally and completely magnificent, so hard to judge. Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest are all superb through and through. Anatomy of a Fall, which is in French and English, has undeniable qualities, but I would assume it doesn't really stand a chance. On Monday, the Lumiere's Academy here in France gave 3 major prizes to Anatomy of a Fall: Best Film, Best Screenplay, and Best Actress.
Anatomy of a Fall has fared extremely well, but France had put its hopes on another film that did not sufficiently grab Oscars voters.
France's official Oscar submission in the international film category, The Taste of Things, with Oscar-winning actress Juliette Binoche, did not make it into the final 5 candidates. The Lumiere's Academy, however, did reward it with Best Cinematography. It would be hard to make food look more scrumptious. But France is also represented at the Oscars by the Tunisian-French co-production 4 Daughters, which is up for Best Documentary. Director Karouter Benania was tearful on stage as she accepted her Lumière in the documentary category. And she spoke to France 24, not knowing that she'd be getting an Oscar nomination, the second of her career, the next day.
I always come back to documentary because it's about the real lives of people. It always surprises me. I'm the first viewer of my film, and the life of the people I film doesn't stop like actors at the end of a shoot. A documentary is life that continues elsewhere.
And Lisa, one of the lessons you could say of this award season so far is that Cannes seems to be a pretty effective launch pad for the Oscars.
Certainly this year it is. For example, Anatomy of a Fall, The Zone of Interest, and 4 Daughters all were shown for the very first time in Cannes last May, as was Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, which has 10 nominations. With no connection to Cannes or to any other major festival, for those tempted to make sweeping statements about how film is dead or going out to a movie theater is dead, keep in mind that Oppenheimer, leading with 13 Oscar nominations, is a deadly serious 3-hour-long drama shot on celluloid film, and that enough people worldwide left their homes to see it that it earned $1 billion. Barbie, the most financially successful film of the year, won 8 nominations, but not Best Director for Greta Gerwig, and this is stunningly odd, not for Margot Robbie, who plays Barbie, and without whom there simply would not be a film.
Yeah, I have to say those were my 2 big disappointments from the Oscar nominations, but getting over them. We're going to talk next, Lisa, about a film that got 1 Oscar nomination for original screenplay, Todd Haynes' latest film, May December. It also premiered in Cannes last year.
Yes, it's loosely based on a true story that made headlines in the U.S. starting back in 1996. Julianne Moore plays a woman who, in her 30s, embarked on a relationship with a 13-year-old boy. The real woman went to prison and eventually married her much younger lover. Although she was an educator, the real woman, Marie-Kay Letourneau, maintained that it hadn't occurred to her that what she initiated was illegal. When we meet Gracie, played by Moore, she and Joe, played by Charles Melton, have been married for 24 years. The eldest of their 3 children is already in college, and their twins are about to go. This coincides with actress Elizabeth, played by Natalie Portman, coming to spend time with the family in order to gather background material to play Gracie on screen.
All right, let's get a feel for the power dynamic slithering around in May, December.
When they sent me the script, I thought, here is a woman with a lot more to her than I remember from the tabloids.
What would make a 36-year-old woman have an affair with a 7th grader?
People, they like see me as a victim. I wanted it.
I already have an idea of what it must have felt like.
What?
Sneaking around with you. I shouldn't have said that.
I usually like what American independent director Todd Haynes creates. I loved his Safe back in 1995 when he started collaborating with Julianne Moore as a woman who becomes allergic to absolutely everything. His 4-part TV version of Mildred Pierce starring Kate Winslet was stupendous. Blackwater with Mark Ruffalo tirelessly trying to prove that people were being poisoned by industrial chemicals was superb storytelling. Now, I saw May December at its world premiere in Cannes last May, and when the lights went up, I thought to myself, well, that certainly didn't work, but I appear to be in the minority. In my view, Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore have rarely been less convincing. And for me, Haynes' admiration for over-the-top melodrama this time falls flat.
Charles Melton has been praised for his performance, though he, fell short of getting an Oscar nomination. How do you explain, Lisa, the lavish praise for this film?
Well, I'd venture that we're in a cultural moment that's way more interested in alleged predatory behavior than we used to be. But topical is not necessarily the same thing as good. Here, Joe thought he was in love and lived his life accordingly, raising 3 children who seem to have turned out fine. But he's starting to have doubts and wonder if maybe he was robbed of his own childhood. But who's a bigger predator here? Moore's flaky, well-meaning Gracie, or Portman's hard as nails, mercenary interloper who behaves like an emotional vampire, rationalizing some really sleazy behavior as research? She's cavalier and exploitative toward the life she's intruding upon. Now, that's a fascinating premise, but I didn't think it held together.
Too bad. It does sound like an interesting film, at least. All right, Lisa, we're going to end with another movie based on real-life Americans, the Von Erich wrestling dynasty. Tell us about Sean Durkin's The Iron Claw.
I don't care about wrestling, but I care deeply about the muscle-bound Von Erich brothers. This is a true story set mostly in the 1970s and 80s that definitely falls under the heading of you can't make this stuff up. To say that there's some tragedy in the lives of the clan cries out for a stronger term than tragedy. Wrestling may be choreographed and largely bogus, but this is genuine acting. This is devastatingly good filmmaking.
And Zac Efron, one of the stars, is known for his boyishly good looks a la High School Musical. Here, though, he is so bulked up, it's hard to recognize him.
I agree. Talk about preparing for a role. It's interesting to consider that at roughly the same time the Von Erich boys were parlaying their muscles and willingness to get roughed up into careers, 2 men who started out as bodybuilders, Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger, were enjoying big screen popularity in the likes of Rocky or Terminator. I always get worried when adult children call their father sir. Not yes, dad, or yes, but yes, sir. Their father felt that he was robbed of the advancement he should have enjoyed in professional wrestling, and he raises his boys to take plenty of physical punishment and always be ready for more. I won't give anything away except to say that the combo of rigid, passive-aggressive parenting, mom is outnumbered, and getting thrown around a lot doesn't necessarily lead to happy, well-adjusted kids prepared to cope with life. The entire cast is superb.
Yeah, another of the Von Erich brothers is played by Jeremy Allen White, known for his award-winning role in The Bear. We'll leave you with a look at the prominent muscles and daunting setbacks in The Iron Claw. Thanks, Lisa, so much as always. Thanks to all of you for watching. There's news coming up on France 24 after this.
I'm scared, man. It all out of control.
That's a terrible accident.
I should have stopped him. I need to think about my family.
Your job is to wrestle. Live up to that deal, or we are through. I told you to look out for him!
I just love being out there with you guys. It's the only thing that matters to me.
The Bonner will forever be the greatest family in the history of wrestling.